Hey, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harding. Glad to be back with a new and incredible episode, new week. Hope everyone's staying safe and warm. I know all through the East Coast, we got hit with a big, huge snowstorm. Philly ended up getting like 14 inches. We've been hopefully everyone's being safe and everything too. We're home, we're safe and everything. So let's get started. Hit my music. Let's get it. All right. Once again, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harding. Glad to be back with a new and exciting episode. I have a great guest. We connected maybe about a month or so ago on Instagram. But before I bring her on, you can follow the show on all the podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple. We're also on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube, BS3 Network, BS3TVLive.com. BS3 Network, Roku channel, wherever you consume podcasts, we are there. And then lastly, you can follow me on all the social media platforms, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, active mostly on Facebook and Twitter, and Instagram, and a little bit of TikTok as well. But let me bring in my guest. Very excited to have her on. Thanks for her coming on to the show. Jada Green. She is a social media content creator, social media manager, does a little bit of everything here, women in sports, business, and all that. So welcome to the show, Jada Green. Welcome to the show. Really appreciate it.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm
Yeah, thank
excited
you
to
for
be
coming
here.
on. Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Thank you again for accepting the invite. And like I said, we connected maybe a couple of months ago. You're in Philly as well,
Yep.
so we have that in common for sure. I'm sure we're going to get into some Philly sports and WNBA and Unrivaled. And we were trying to connect when Unrivaled came here to Philly, but as we said, it was just a lot. It was, you said they have record fans, and it was a lot. As soon as you got in, you just couldn't
Yeah,
find anywhere to go. But again, I really appreciate you jumping on the show. I really do. Really appreciate it.
yeah. Thanks for having me again. I'm honestly excited. I've never done this before, so I'm
Oh
excited
yeah.
that this is the first time and that it's with you.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I've seen you doing your thing, out here in Philly. Just you said doing a lot of things in social media and things like that. And things. So it's good to have you on, and glad to for your first time being on my podcast. So I really appreciate it. So let's get started. My first question I always ask my first time guest, who is Jada Green, and how
Oh,
did you get into sports? Just you could do a quick and you could do an intro, a quick intro, go as long as you want.
okay. So yes, my name is Jada. I'm a social media manager and founder of Succella Studios, which is a social media company. We help athletes, creators, brands building their social media presence in sports. Um, I got my start as a freshman in college. I was a manager at Rutgers for Coach Stringer, and I honestly thought I was going into it like I was going to be a practice player. I was like, oh yeah, I could play against them at
Yeah.
during practice, which I was completely wrong. So then they were like, no, you can't be a practice player, be a manager. And I've always loved basketball, started playing basketball when I was young, played all different types of sports growing up, and it just always stuck with me.
Hmm.
So when I was at Rutgers, I was a manager for 3 years until COVID happened. But while I was there, one of the head coaches, I mean, assistant coaches, excuse me, he was like, we're trying to get recruits. I don't know how to use social media. I see what you do for your clubs on campus. Like, can you help me? And I was like, sure. He gave me the password to his Instagram, and I was posting quotes every day, just little snippets of practice, travel, things like that. And then I just developed a love for social media and just the eye for being able to figure out what works.
Yeah.
Um, excuse me, that actual, I think my second year as a social media manager for that assistant coach, we ended up bringing in the number one recruiting class in the Big Ten for women's basketball. So it was just not all due to my efforts, obviously, but it was just awesome to be able to be a part of that team and just say I had a little piece in that.
Yeah.
Um, and then I left Rutgers, tried to do sales for a little bit for the New Jersey Devils. And I was like, I don't know if I think I'm still, basketball's calling me, social media is calling me. So let's see what I can do. I did a fellowship with the McClendon Foundation, which if you're watching this, I would highly recommend going and checking them out. They do a minority leadership program where they put you at a school or sports brand where you're able to rotate and learn through different departments for 10 months. They also have the option for you to go to school and they will give you a scholarship for post-grad education. But I was able to get a little bit of taste of like working in facilities, marketing, equipment management, and just kind of figure out what I did, what I liked and what I didn't like in sports. Sorry, someone's blowing my thing up.
Always, it always happens that when you're doing something. All good.
Yeah, so I figured out what I was figuring out what I liked and didn't like in sports, and that was like the most monumental experience for me, just being able to figure out where I wanted to be. I never really knew what I wanted to do growing up, but I did know that I loved playing sports. I did love basketball. Took me a while to love sports, but as I was growing up, I did learn to love it and just learn to love the messages that you take away from the games and things like that. So McClendon gave me that opportunity to explore, and my heart was still in marketing and social media. So I decided to give it a go on my own, and now I work with Watch Party PHL / the Stoop Pigeon here in Philadelphia, where we'll be opening up a women's sports hub in a couple months.
Ooh, well, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's big. Well, congratulations on finding your place and or just finding your where you wanted to succeed. As you said, basketball kept calling you. Social media kept calling, and so you wanted to blend that all in. But then again, the journey. I love hearing the journey of how you got to where you started, or finding interest in something. You said you touched on a few things, going to Rutgers and covering other things, and then now heading now into what you do now with social media and things like that, and wanted to tell the stories of women's sports and women, basketball, things like that. So a couple questions on that. To you, how important is it to share those things as part of it as well, women in sports, and the growth of it have you seen over the last 4 or 5 years, but how important is it to tell those stories that's not being told by the national media?
It's super important. That's part of the reason why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Being a manager under Coach Stringer, she is one of the winningest, most female head coaches, black female head coaches.
Yes.
And it was just like, why isn't anybody talking about this? Why isn't Rutgers talking about this? Why isn't this a big deal? So it's super important to tell those stories and to put people in positions that have the love and passion to tell those stories. Specifically here in Philadelphia, I mean, Philly's a rich history full of, a city full of rich history. And, it's no different for women's sports here in the city. Like, we may not have any professional teams at this current moment, but we've had ridiculous amounts of history here in the city with, the Philadelphia Fox or the Rage and the Dolly Vardens and things like that. Like, this city is full of rich women's sports history. And I think it's really important that we start to tell those stories, especially as we have like the WNBA coming in 2030, the fight for the NWSL team to come here, the fight for a Love B team to come here, or a PWHL team. It's very important that we continue to show that, we've always been here. This is a sports city through and through, regardless of gender expression or anything. Like, Philly is a sports city, and, telling that history is really pivotal for getting, the next generation involved and to get investors involved.
Yeah, and that's it right there. I think you answered it right there with the investment, and I think that was the thing because women's sports have been around for many years. I'm talking decades, and or even longer than that. And but it's the investment, and it's now
Mhm.
finally getting that investment. I always said for so many years, I've been a fan of women's sports, always advocated for it, still continue to do it, not even just for sports, but in media and business, social media, whatever it is. Uh, Ever since I've been doing this podcast, even way before, beyond that. But I always say my whole thing is when you have people that will invest and these brands and these networks and things like that, it will grow because it's always been there. The competition's always been there. People love competition, so it's always been there. So it just needed networking and investment. And now that we're seeing it, now it's not going anywhere. So people that
Right.
complain about the things of women's sports, they need to get over it because it just keeps growing. All types, all sports, from basketball to volleyball to soccer and hockey and everything. We just seen it with the Olympics. How
Right.
much women's sports is dominating. So I'm definitely with it. So I'm glad to see it. And again, like for someone like you said yourself, telling those stories and making sure those stories are being told and heard.
Yeah, and I think it's important for like platforms like this too, like having people on that understand and have the love for women's sports as well has been like a huge part of growing the game. We see content online about women's sports all the time. We see edits, we see record breaking numbers and things like
Yeah.
that. It's only pushing the game and the entire industry further.
Yes, absolutely. And you talk about record breaking. Like I said, we both were at Unrivaled here in Philly, just this a couple weeks ago. Actually, it's crazy how fast it came and then it went. But it was like 3 weeks ago, and over 21,000 plus showed out here with Unrivaled, and now they got a playoff game in Brooklyn now
Yeah.
coming up next Monday as well. On their tour stops, but Philly really showed out. But how was that experience for you, being there, seeing the city represent for what we know can be when the WNBA team does come in 2030. But how was that experience for you seeing that record breaking number of fans supporting women's basketball?
Honestly, I was speechless the entire weekend. Like,
Yeah.
it was unreal. It was an unreal experience. I grew up in South Jersey, so right over the bridge.
Yeah.
Played, like I
Right.
said, played sports my whole life. Played AAU here in Philly. So just being able to see someone like Kalia Copper or Natasha Cloud like come back to the city and just show out and turn the entire arena out it was unreal. I being a part of like Watch Party PHL and the Stew Pigeon, we have been for the last 2 years throwing women's sports watch parties and events to show that we have the fandom here and to continue to get the community together and grow it and shout from the rooftops that Philly is a women's sports town. So when Unrivaled touchdown, it was like kind of like, oh my gosh, we've been saying this and now we can show you like we broke records. We meaning
Yeah.
Philly broke
Yes.
records.
We're Philly. Yep.
Yep.
For sure.
And we broke records and now we are putting everyone else on notice like, hey, this has been a women's sports town. We've been fighting for this. We've been throwing the events, doing the activations, building the community. And now just to see like how many people were out at Unrivaled and how many people from Philly were out at Unrivaled, it was unreal. Like I had chills the whole weekend. It does feel like it was like yesterday, but it
Yeah.
was really it was unreal. I was emotional at one point just from like being a little girl, being a part of like Coach Stringer's I guess sisterhood, like seeing that moment for Philly, for Kalia, for just little girls in Philly and all of the women who played sports growing up that are in their 50s and 60s to be able to come out to that game and see like women's sports on their home floor was
Yeah.
I could talk about it for days, honestly.
Yeah, yes, me too. I'm with you. And like you said, the possibility, just seeing kids being able to see some of their favorite athletes and women athletes especially, and then how excited they were, and the fans, like I said, they came out, they really showed
Yeah.
out, and it was such a success, a huge success, and it set the tone. Now the bar has been set. So next Monday, Brooklyn's got to, they have to go beyond. They got to, because Philly set that tone. What possibilities? Yes, I know Brooklyn's going to do well because they already have a WNBA team, a championship team with the Liberty there. But it just shows that yes, women's basketball is needed here. Will get the support, will get the people to come out each and every time. And then just seeing all you said, just all the people there, as we talked about before we recorded, getting there, because I did some stuff with Unrivaled for with the media, being able to get some interviews and things like that, but seeing Dawn Staley there, and seeing all seeing all the media there, seeing all the people there covering it, and seeing good great basketball, I should say, and Unrivaled, they did their thing. And Philly, like I said, Philly showed up, and it was just exciting just to be just a small part of that history. And you talk about the activation, and when they announced it, you were there at the announcement, or wasn't at the Love Park over there, and then I had missed that, but I remember I think that's how I saw your page there. The algorithm came through people you might know in Philly and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is dope. And they said, oh, it's going to be here. So I bought tickets first, just because I said, me and my wife are going and everything too. But then Unrivaled had the credentials. I got a credential. So I was like, oh man, I got extra tickets. So my wife took one of our good friends with her. And so they were able to do that. I'm part of the media. We got pictures and all that. Yeah, it was great. Like I said, we could talk about that for hours. Just the history and what it meant for the city.
Yep. Even down to the energy, like in the press conferences.
Yeah, yes, energy, yes.
You could just feel it. Everybody just was so excited to be there, including media.
Yes, everything was all good about it. Yeah. So I know Brooklyn's not gonna fall short, but the expectations, the bar has been set, and now that just shows that Unrivaled can go, they could now go to different places. I know they've been talking about that now, because Brooklyn it was just Philly, but they saw how the success was and the energy of Philly. Now they're like, oh, we got to go now here. So I am next year they'll probably end up going to like LA and some other places and things like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they come back to Philadelphia next year as well. So, but like you said, we could talk about Unrivaled and what it does. So speaking of Unrivaled, I'll go here. What do you think of this season so far? Now that they're I think their last game is Friday, I believe, the last game of the season. Playoffs start Saturday. But what do you think of season 2 so far with Unrivaled?
I think that season 2 has done a good job of proving to the rest of the world that there are some things that the WNBA needs to do this summer.
Yes.
I know that season one was such a success, and I've been loving the energy of season 2. I love that they brought back Angel Reese. I think that was such a move. I'm honestly a big Rosebud. Unfortunately, some people will argue with me about that, but I want them to win again. But this season has been unreal. I think from the social media moments to Chelsea Gray's ridiculous highlight reel that you see basically every single night. I think that Unrivaled is doing an amazing job with everything that they're doing. And I think that season 2 is going to be pivotal with these negotiations, just to be able to be like, look what we did, I think that's the most exciting part about Unrivaled for me, is just like how the team, or I will just say even just the players, like have shown that like, if you invest in us, look what will happen.
Yeah.
If you take your time to actually care about us, look what will happen. If you market us properly, look what will happen. And like, I can't even scroll on social media without seeing an edit from Unrivaled, a highlight reel. And honestly, that's on any platform. I think that might be a little bit of my algorithm as well, but you have the trending tweets, you have the trending moments on Threads and on Twitter. And I think that next year, for Unrivaled is going to be even bigger with the tour. So I'm excited. Also, season 2, like their decision to come to Philly was kind of not on a, it definitely wasn't on a whim, but it was kind of perfect for them just to choose a city that, there is WNBA expansion coming, and that they're going to go to that city and they're going to show up and they're going to show out. They're going to show the WNBA as well that, like, people are going to be coming in. Look what we can do as players. How are you going to uplift us before we get to Philly in 2030? I hope that made sense, but
yeah.
I love Unrivaled, and my favorite things obviously are the social media moments, just because that's what I do.
That's what you do, right? Exactly. We'll get into all that too, and but yeah, I agree 100%. I think with everything you said about the social media activations and them able to, and even the players have talked about this too this season. These first they did from season 1, season 2, just the how they're being treated, how they're being taken care of, how they're the facilities. As you said, the WNBA could take note, and I know they're probably looking at it as competition and everything too. It's another league, but they're just showing you like what can be done when treated right, when marketed right, when all those things as you talked about with success they've had. Now they said yes, two different leagues. The WNBA, yes, they're the staple. Yeah. It's 5-on-5 basketball. They've been almost 30 years now. Yes, it's different from a 2-year league in its infancy of what's been going on, but it shows how much people are investing in the Unrivaled from season 1 to season 2. As you said, practice facilities, all these things being taken care of media-wise and things like that. The fashion, all these things is being celebrated, and I think that's what makes Unrivaled a huge success. Has been a real good success. I don't know what the numbers look like from season 1, season 2. They'll talk about that when season's over, I'm sure. But it seems like people are enjoying it again, and the talent is there. The games have been competitive. I love every bit of it as well, and it's been incredible. I just like watching basketball as it is. So I watched. Interesting enough, I didn't even watch. This is for me. I didn't even watch NBA All-Star Weekend except for the All-Star game that was on Sunday, and so I was watching one-on-one. The one-on-one tournament for the Unrivaled was way more exciting than All-Star Saturday Night. I didn't watch a lick of All-Star Saturday Night. I usually watch 3-point contest. Dunk contest is a whole nother thing I don't even watch hardly anymore. But the 1v1 women's was so much better. The one-on-one tournament was so much more competitive. So that was my All-Star weekend for sure. Was the Unrivaled one-on-one. So yeah, they're doing it. They definitely are doing it right.
Yeah, I agree. And like, even just going back to Philly for a second, I was able to get 2 tickets for my sister and her boyfriend, and he plays basketball. He's played basketball in college, things like that. And he was like, after the game, he was like, "Oh my gosh, like this was unreal, like an unreal experience." Even just from like the marketing activations to the way that they pay attention to, keeping the fans engaged at all times. There was not a quiet moment, a dead moment the entire game. So I think that, it Unrivaled being complimentary to the WNBA would be lovely. But the 1v1 tournament is putting not only the WNBA on notice, it's putting the NBA on notice. It's going to force other leagues to up the competitiveness or the competition. And, that's what we want. That's why people watch, for the storyline, competition. Yep. And I think that you're not the only one who said the same, about All-Star Weekend. I saw it all over social media, and I hope that the NBA listens to that as well.
Yeah, they need to take notice. I agree with you 100%. Need to take notice. And I was saying this after the last season's one-on-one tournament that Unrivaled put. I thought maybe the NBA needs to implement this on All-Star Weekend and put this out there but then there's too many egos with the NBA. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to, it's like, come on, just put yourself out there. If you're good as you are, talented as you are, you're doing it. Yes, you're going to, you might get beat, but there's so many good one-on-one players in the NBA. that they could do it, from Kyrie to Kevin Durant, Steph
Yeah.
to whoever. Show and prove, Anthony Edwards, whoever, show it. And, the women the women put themselves out there, and some of them got embarrassed and lost 11-0. Courtney Williams didn't even get a chance to even get didn't even get a chance to even score. So, Stewie last year, same thing. Leah Edwards put it on her the last time. So Stewie was like, not this time. I'm going to get to at least the second round and everything too. But yeah, they put themselves out there and they play. So yeah, they I agree with that. They definitely put the WNBA and the NBA on notice for sure. But I want to transition back to the W. Got to talk before I let you go. Got to talk these negotiations and now hard cap deadline and everything too. So I want to get your opinion if you think there's going to be a season or they're going to start. But I want to get into your a little bit more of your social media. Management and everything too. You talked about it's called Succella. Succella, excuse me. Yes, Succella. Mm-hmm. Succella Studios. And, it's like I said, creative agency, social media agency based here in Philly. Talk a little bit more about that, how that got started, and elaborate a little bit more on its what it's about.
Yeah, so it got started with me doing social media management for some realtors in the area. I really was interested in real estate and just houses in general. I think it was due to the selling sunset boom during COVID, where I was like, oh my God, like I love being in beautiful homes and just be able to show them off. Yeah. But like I said, basketball kept calling me, sports kept calling me, and I was like, I'm feeling unfulfilled, just doing house tours and things like that.
Right.
So I was like, let me transition. So the idea behind it was simply that there are marginalized groups in sports and in the beauty world and in the fashion world that are just ignored. For example, the number one example I always go to is like masculine presenting women. In the WNBA, we have someone like a Courtney Williams, or you have someone even going back to like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi, where they kind of had to mute themselves and hide who they truly were as, lesbians, or I will just say members of the LGBTQ community. And the league at one point was trying to make them be something that they weren't. So that's something that we still see today with certain people in the league or with certain gender expressions and just, so I was like, you know what? This is something that I've noticed since college, or that I thought has been a problem, forever, but in college is where it's really started to bother me. So every time I would, go and look and just try to see how these brands would market masculine presenting women or Black women in the league, they tried to do it from a lens that doesn't necessarily show who they really are.
Right.
So Succella Studios was born out of that. It was actually from the Skims ad that the WNBA did. I was like, where are the masculine presenting women? Why aren't they, representing this entire demographic that's in the WNBA, especially considering that Skims just dropped a quote unquote men's line. So why aren't they trying to diversify their audience by showing that, Skims is versatile for any type of expression? So I started working with some micro influencers and just working on strategy for social media and just helping them build their brand from like a lifestyle point of view.
Right.
And then honestly, the way I got involved with like the Stoop Pigeon, Watch Party PHL, and now like doing these big things in Philly was I just DM'd them one day and was like, hey, you need help on social media? Like, can I help? And they were like, sure. We started off with about like 3,400 followers, and in like under 6 months, we grew thousands of followers, millions of impressions, and just being able to like reach a larger audience. So I was like, okay, this is where I'm at now. So I have been working to reach out to athletes and reach out to different brands, just being able to help them grow. I've done a few like little one-off things here with clients in real estate, sports, beauty, fashion. and in New York, like for New York Fashion Week and things like that, to be able to give a different perspective. I am a biracial lesbian, so I offer a perspective that may not necessarily be at the table all the time. Um, and I think that that's important to have different voices and different opinions and people who can help you reach different audiences. So Succella Studios was born out of that.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's an interesting thing. As you said, to with the way that WNBA and women's just women's basketball in general, there's something. There should be something for everyone. As you said, like you have campaigns and things like that, and they should be able to be represented in all ways. And there needs to be platforms for that as well, without just anything being uh, ridiculed or anything like that. So that's the one thing I think social media could get better at, is representing different things and everything, especially when it comes to like the W and or women's sports in general. So you're able to do that as well with your platform. So one of the questions I want to ask you about, how would you define success or measure success beyond metrics like likes and follows when it comes to being a social media manager?
Mhm. The number one thing that helps me define success is that's beyond the metrics would be like community. So
Mhm.
if you have people who are constantly coming to your events, well, I guess that is a part of the metrics too, but how they interact with you. If
Right.
you're getting consistent positive feedback from people, I think that that's a big deal for me. I Since we throw events with Stu Pigeon, Watch Party PHL, and Succella, the number one thing that I do is like I walk around, I talk to people, I try to get a gauge on what they're looking for,
Right.
and usually go off of their feedback in order to figure out what's working and what's not. Um, Anytime that I start with any type of client, I take at least a month to like really get to know who they're talking to.
Mm.
And I think with social media, having a community is the most important because you can cold post all day long.
Right.
You can put things out that is talking to everyone, but it's really about that one, two, three um, people that you're talking to that are going to stick around and that are going to want to watch you grow and build. And having those communities is the most important. So, um, the metrics are great, but if you're getting the same 10 people that are constantly like, I'm coming to these events, I'm doing this, and they're repeat, I was gonna
Right.
say repeat offenders, but that's definitely not something I want to say. But like, repeat attendees, things like that, they come out, they're having a good time, and it's a big deal. For a client that's not necessarily people facing, I would say like the metrics are definitely more important, but community is overall the most important to me, and authenticity. Um, if I can work with an athlete brand or creator and they feel like they are fulfilled and they're seeing the numbers and they feel like they're representing themselves well on social media, I think that that's a big deal personally for me. Considering that, social media is very easy to put on a facade. It's very easy to only show the wins. It's very easy to
Yep.
just post whatever and go. But when you put a strategy behind it that is like, okay, I'm going to show myself and I'm going to be real. I'm going to be very vulnerable, or I'm going to take people along these processes with me. It allows that person or that creator to be themselves. And I think that that's more important in any aspect of social media, or in anything in social media, especially now with every two scrolls is an ad. You want to make sure that
Yeah.
people are showing up as their true selves and that they find the community that resonates with that.
Very well said. I think, and I agree 100% on that too. It's you said community, be the authenticity. That's what makes, and I think just with anything with content creating on social media, when you have that and you're building a community, building your platform, and then as you said, you're showing your authentic self, everything else will fall in place. Everything else will just the
Right.
way it is. So, and right. And then just being consistent, just to add that, just being consistent with what you're doing, but being authentic with it as well. Because you said everything has an ad. Like you said every two scrolls there's an ad. If you watch on YouTube, there's an ad. There's all these ads. You just say, I want to get to whatever I'm looking for. But you could just that's all we do. We scroll on our phones, our tablets, whatever it is, or just scrolling through, and there's an ad. But we could catch people's attention. You said metrics, and it's very important, but you catch people's attention with authenticity and community. That you build in community, and that will come. So, and I see you're continuing to keep doing that with everything you got going on. So, congrats on all that what you got going on. Just for, like I said, just for the month or two that we've networked and connected. I see some of the things you're doing, and I love seeing that. Just hearing as we talk about storytelling, and I think that's very important. And social media, like I said, it could be a toxic place in a lot of ways, but there is finding those good moments in that as well. But we got a couple of comments here. JC Green 7393. Thank you for tuning in. And Juliana Elise says, had so much fun on Arrival. I hope they come back to Philly. Yeah, we just talked about that. We hope they do come back here, and I think they will. I really believe that Philly's going to be. I think it's going to be a stop for. There's going to be about 4 or 5 more stops for Philly or for Unrivaled, and I think Philly's going to be one of them because I don't think they cannot. I don't think they can't come back because they have to now with what we witness and the energy of that as well. But Larry, let's talk a little W before I let you go. The WNBA had put out another deadline. Season's almost here in May. We're at the end of February, and they're still negotiating and still far apart with everything. What's your take? What as of today? Because everything can change within the next week or so. But deadline now is March 10th. If they say they got to have a deal by then, so they can start the season on time. I mean, they still got to go through expansion draft. They got to go through free agency draft itself, training camps, and all that. But it's not looking good as of today. But what's your overall view of how the negotiations are, and do you feel like they are going to start the season on time, or will we have a season?
In short, I don't think we're going to have a season. It might be lockout season. There was a interview with Tasha Cloud, and she was saying like they know their worth. They're not willing to budge on this.
Yeah.
And I think given the success that the WNBA has had in the last couple of years, and where they're going, I think that they should hold firm, and I think that players deserve to be paid, and they deserve to be paid well. We get into a lot of conversations and arguments that you see online, where people are saying like, "Oh, they should just be grateful." And I think that with these players, these are the best in the world, and I think that they should be treated as such, and that hopefully the WNBA can come to a resolve where they are respecting the players, giving them what they want. One of the things that I saw was that they were trying to take away team housing at one point.
Yep.
I think that that's counterproductive, and
a real bad idea. Agreed.
Terrible idea, especially considering the amount of cuts and waves and things that happen in the WNBA. Even just looking at someone like Jalen Sherrod, who was with New York basically all season, and then right before the postseason went to Minnesota. Like it gets really tricky, and I think that they should pay the players what they deserve. Honestly, it seems like the players are going to hold firm, and they're not worried about the WNBA season. I know, who was it? I think Stewie just signed a short contract overseas.
Yep.
For a tournament, and everyone has been in a tizzy, I will say, for that. They're like, we're not having a WNBA season. And I think we have seen this league in the past change political positions for states. We've seen the women of the WNBA stick together and hold firm on multiple issues. And I don't think this is one that they are going to give some leeway with. A lot of people forget that the WNBA is full of educated women, some with master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, PhDs. So it's important that, fans, I'll say, understand that these are women that aren't just asking for too much. These are calculated asks. These are things that, they work with the WNBPA to come up with, and to propose to the W, because they know what they're worth. They know what the investment is going to be in them and how they're going to be able to produce after. So I hope that the WNBA really does give them what they want before March 10th, but we'll see.
Yeah, yes. I think they're leaning towards a lockout too. I'm still a little optimistic that they will start the season. I've been saying I don't think they're going to start the season on time. I think it's going to be June, sometime in June, because I think it's going to be too crunch. Like the time crunch is going to be it's too severe to really like push. As you said, you got expansion draft. You got two new teams coming, Toronto and Portland. So you have that, and then you got to go right from 97. I think 98% of the league is free agents heading into this season. So that's going to be a mad dash on top of that. And then you got the regular draft after the college season is over. You got the regular draft, then you got to start immediately right away. I think they're going to give a little bit of time. It might be a shortened season. I know we don't want that as fans. We do not want that. But I think even if a lockout, which I'm with the players. They deserve what they are asking for. I hope they get it as well. Even a lockout, or if they get locked out, that can still hurt momentum from what this league is building. But it's on the WNBA side, they're the ones, they're playing hardball, and that's a problem in itself. As you said, I don't want the women to. I hope they continue to keep fighting to what they deserve and what they should get, what they're asking for, revenue share and housing and some of the things like that, more salary. TV deal is going to be kicking in this season as well, so there's more money to on top of that. So yeah, I want the women to get all they should get and deserve too. But I'm not as optimistic as I was, but I think there will be a season. Just I don't feel like it's going to start on time at all.
Yeah, I'm hoping that there is a season, but even just like from the fans, I know like with us throwing watch parties and doing all of these different women's sports events, the fans they're invested in the players. I think that's what makes the WNBA different from other leagues, or just make women's sports different from men's sports in general. Like people are invested in players more than they are invested in teams, in my opinion. Where it's like you can be a season ticket member for the Liberty, but you're an Aces fan because you want to see the basketball. And I think that with the fan support, if there's a lockout this year, there will still be a lot of fans support. There's still going to be people tapped into fans off the court, and hopefully there isn't a lockout, but I know that there will be other options for fans to be tuned in to their favorite players. And, hopefully that just helps them get to where they're trying to go in terms of negotiation.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I think that's sort of a good point. And as you said, they're just going to find the players. As you said, they're very educated and know their worth, and they know where they will go. As you said, Stewie's just using that, signing an overseas deal for that month, just continue to play basketball. And just in case, she said, hey, I still got a family to support. I still got to get paid. And, we're locked out and we're not having a season, or if it's just a half a season, I'm going to go play basketball because, their passion is basketball. So she's playing in the Unrivaled, and then right after she's going to go overseas and play there. So I don't know why people are having so many issues with it. These women want to continue to play, and they're saying that, hey, we got other options if need be. So good for Stewie and good for whoever else goes out there and try to make as much money as you can. So just the last one I want to ask you is just ask you about what's next for Jada. What is next coming up? What you want to announce and everything, or what you can announce. But what is next for you, and any final words?
What's next? So what's next with Succella Studios is that we're going to be pushing the charge until we open up the Women's Sports Hub here in Philly. Also opening up our books to be able to work with more creators and athletes. Hopefully being able to bring some like-minded people onto the team that will support women's sports, that will support the overall just like passion and development for social media marketing in sports. And then for myself, I want to continue to work, continue to find happiness in the things that I do and help people just being able to show up and feel empowered to show up authentically. And final words. I don't know. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I would say my final words is just to everyone. Just like focus on doing what makes you happy and the rest will come. It's a little bit cliche, but it works. And, there's nothing worth it in life if it doesn't make you happy. So,
Well, we'll definitely end on that. That was really good words. And no, thank you for doing this. Like I said, I've been wanting to get you on ever since we connected on social media. As you said, it's a great, when it's used right, this is what happens. You connect with, they said connect with like-minded people, and just being able to have good, engaging, and great conversations. So I really enjoyed the conversation. Many blessings and best of luck to everything you got coming up as well. Looking forward to seeing, seeing what your growth and continued success as well. But let everyone know they can follow you, want to reach out to you on social media.
Okay, so Succella Studios page is SUXELA Studios on Instagram and TikTok. And then my personal Instagram is Jada Succella, or at Jada Succella on Instagram and TikTok. So JADASUXELA. Sorry. And yeah, we have some more things coming out. We'll be having some more athlete tips, creator tips, as well as doing a little bit some workshops here to help people out with their social media.
Absolutely. So reach out to Jada on all those platforms. Like the post, the easiest thing I would say, like, subscribe, all those things, share, comment, reach out, and everything else you can do. So I just said thank you. I really appreciated the conversation. Appreciate you doing this. And he said we will definitely link up. We're right in Philly together, so we'll be at a party or game near you. So for sure we'll totally link up. And like I said, follow Jada on all those platforms as well. And thanks again. And one more comment. It says Unrivaled was amazing for sure here in Philly. So we appreciate everyone that tuned in. And I will share a couple clips and I'll share those with you as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. All right. You enjoy. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Thanks. Bye.